Hi everybody, it is the 5th of October 2023 and DayZ Experimental Update 1.23 has just dropped for PC and Xbox. Unfortunately, it's not available on PlayStation, but will be coming to PlayStation probably in a few weeks' time as we roll over into November. Now, this is an incredibly important update for DayZ for this year. Headline for me is really the fact that we're going to be getting a JSON to be able to edit what fresh new players start with on a community server, which is something on console we've been waiting for an awful long time, has been promised. Finally, it's here, and it means you can have things like deathmatch servers where you can spawn in on Xbox or PlayStation, hopefully with a character full of military gear with a weapon and bullets and all that sort of stuff. Very excited by this, but there's lots of other stuff too. So in this video, we're going to be going through the blog post and we're going to be going through the PC patch notes. Apologies for the quality, but I'm at work for the next few days, so I can't really do this at home, so I thought I'd do this on a break. So let's read through the blog post by Adam first. Greetings, survivors. We're excited to announce the start of the experimental phase for upcoming major game update 1.23. The build is now available on Steam and Xbox, and a full list of changes can be found on our forums, which we'll be looking at shortly. Meanwhile, we prepared this article to outline all the aspects of the update that we'd like to get your feedback on. One of the major additions is the update in our player spawn groups. We've updated the player spawn system in such a way that it now cycles between predefined sets of positions during a server's runtime. Our primary goal is to keep fresh players closer together and to increase the chances of interactions. Finding good values for this new system may take a bit of time, so please let us know what your experience is like. Very interesting, this. So it means on low pop servers, you're going to get people are going to be spawning closer to each other than randomly up and down, the East Coast or the South Coast on Chernarus. It's going to be interesting because obviously there's lots of opportunities there for, if you know what these spawns are, to really keep an eye on those areas and grief fresh spawns. But the other side of it is it means that if you're spawning in with friends, you're probably going to be spawning in closer together than you would. Anyway, it's interesting anyway. We'll have to see what that's like. Speaking of player spawns, we're introducing the ability to adjust player spawn gear through a dedicated mission file. Documentation for both of these features will be coming to the official wiki during the experimental period. We made a number of tweaks to driving the M3S truck and the M1025, which is the Humvee off-road, which should help players while driving uphill and during general off-road conditions. In addition to this, we've also introduced a push vehicle action, which should help get vehicles unstuck from various light crashes within the environment. We've also continued efforts to increase your immersion by adding more custom sounds to actions within the game. You can find a list of them in the change notes. Keep in mind that this is a massive undertaking, but we are slowly getting to them all. The server browser has received quality of life improvements again, this time with the introduction of the number of players, if any, in the queue, as well as displaying the time on each server, previously missing in the console server browser. We've also decided to disable the placing of base building objects in the underground areas. Those server owners can re-enable it through server-side settings. Interesting and excellent ability this, because in the underground areas such as on the Livonia, and there may well be one on Chernarus now at the Northwest Airfield, not quite sure, haven't had a chance to check yet. You don't want people, well, maybe you do want, or maybe you don't want people blocking it off, but this way you can choose. The long-awaited overhaul of the Viborg Airbase, commonly known as the NWAF on Chernarus, has arrived, alongside many supporting assets. We hope these changes will improve your experience within the area by making the looting less tedious and interactions more fun overall. Speaking of looting, we've made some adjustments to the distribution of higher tier weapons in both Chernarus and Livonia. While you're probably shooting each other in the updated airfield, excuse me, please keep an eye out for any character movement desyncs on your targets while shooting between trees, as we've been working on some low-level fixes to tackle desyncs during these situations. We've added a lot of cosmetic items, primarily for your player's head, and the field travel has made a comeback. There's also a brand new rifle, which may look familiar to those of you who used to play the old Arma 2 mod. Finally, you may want to look up this time around, as things should feel very different. On behalf of today's team, Adam. Excellent, excellent, excellent. Right, let's go and have a look at the PC patch notes. Here we go. Let's go to the top. So they're saying, please help us by reporting bugs. Added, here we go. Characters can now push vehicles. So if it gets jammed on a small wall, you can just push a vehicle off. The DMR with 10 and 20 round magazines has been added. I guess it's probably got 5.56, do you reckon, ammo? We'll see. Field shovel, excellent little piece of kit. You can dig and do everything, but it doesn't have the long handle on. Padded gloves, the winter coif. So that's something you can kind of put on your head to like a kind of like a scarf thing, a pre-made scarf. The OKZK hat, the Petrushkov hat, and the Firefighter M3S Rec. The server browser now displays the number of players in the waiting queue. Sound for deploying fireplaces, improvised explosives. So we've got different sounds for crafting rags, washing hands, locked valve doors, cutting planks, unequipping the pipe wrench and equipping it, pulling corpses from vehicles, placing a claymore mine, placing and arming the improvised explosive. Sounds for crafting fireplaces, sounds for crafting a hand drill, and functionality to hide and show the password when entering servers. Various fixes that we've got. I'll put links to all of this in the description below the video when I get a chance. And then we have changed. Major overhaul of the skybox and its textures. From what I've seen of pictures, it looks very impressive indeed. Reworked the interior of the large castle tower. So now instead of having like stone floors, it's all wooden inside. But from what I understand, for modders using, say, DayZ editor, there's going to be 2 versions of the castle. So you'll still be able to use the other one if you like in different situations. Removed redundant sound during the gas canister. Disabled shadows for fireworks to improve performance. Increased maximum bandwidth for client server traffic. Updated game credits. Renamed the fire mode of the crossbow from semi to auto to single. Better clutch on the M3S. Weight of M102S. The Humvee. Adjusted explosion sounds and ranges. Tweaked red tracer bullets for better visibility. Adjusted vehicles for better control on gas. Right, here we go. Central economy, reduced the spawning of warm hats to account for newly added items. On churners, overhead lines for railway network. Interesting. Why bother? Why have overhead electric lines for the railway network? I mean, it's nice cosmetic, but maybe they're doing something with them. Who knows? Changed major overhaul of the Vibor airbase, NWAF. The Asphalant VSS spawns from contaminated areas to high-tier military areas and increase their numbers. They're going to be around more. Moved the VSD and the FAL to contaminated area spawns and decrease their numbers. I guess because previously they would have been on helicopter crashes. Moved the KA-74, KA-74U and M16 to higher military tier spawns. So it looks like they're shifting the higher tier military stuff up to the northwest more. To encourage people to go to the northwest airfield and also to encourage them to go to the contaminated areas as well. Server, here we go. Oh, Livonia. Change base building items can no longer be placed in the Livonia underground. Move the Asphalant VSS. Move the VSD and org. Okay. Server, added group spawning system. The documentation isn't live at the point of recording this video, but interesting. Added CFG player spawn gear.json to assign gear for players to spawn with. I can't wait to see what that is. Are we going to be able to have different loadouts for different players? Is it going to be random? I can't wait to see. Obviously, I'll be doing lots of videos about that. Added new gameplay JSON parameter to disallow items spawning in the underground areas. I think they meant to say building there. Added gameplay configurability to disable respawn of unconscious players from the in-game menu. So I guess you can, because normally when you're unconscious, you can just say respawn, can't you, and you die. Something to do that. Fix the typo related to vehicle parts. Added launcher now displays number of players and the time. And then we've got lots of different, specifically modding stuff that I won't go into here because it's a little bit above my abilities. Consoles, added warning item to disconnect warning session. Server browser now displays the time. It was not possible to interact with error message. Overlay element was still present. Missing control hint to switch the camera position between shoulders. Right, so there we go. Fantastic add-on for DayZ. Again, it's 1.23 experimental, so just available for the Xbox experimental and PC experimental servers. Check it out. Use the feedback tracker. Coming to public servers in November, as I understand, maybe earlier if everything works out. And I cannot wait to play around with the ability to change new players' spawns, what we're wearing on console. It's going to be I don't know, that ticks box list of the things we would have to complete DayZ, it's getting pretty complete now, isn't it? And if there's some sort of keycard door at the Northwest Airfield as well, so we have a proper keycard door instead of having to use the underground bunker door from Livonia, oh, I'll be very pleased indeed. But anyway, that's enough from me. What do you think? Put your questions and comments down below, and we'll of course see you again soon.